Okay, good morning, everyone. I have hit the record button, so if you want to join back in later to view, or those of us that, or those of you that cannot join us today, can view this. So just want to let everyone know you are being recorded. So we're here today to talk about fall rec programming, how you guys are planning to move ahead with COVID still kind of in the thick of things here, and hopefully share some program ideas. We'll get into adult leagues, children's leagues, anything. This is your meeting. We want you guys to discuss what you want to discuss here. So it looks like we got about 22 people online now. I've got a few more admitting here along the way, so we'll just keep letting them in here. But just want to welcome you guys, and I know you're super anxious to get ready for all this fall programming here. So just kind of want to open it up to are your facilities actually open to the public right now? Will they be open to the public this fall? I think that's a great place to start before we even get to some of the programming. And I'm guessing some of you that do some space sharing with schools or other entities are probably in a bind right now, not knowing if you're going to have access to those facilities coming up. So does anyone want to jump in and get started with us here? If not, I'll randomly pick.
This is Brian here in North Liberty, and our facility we have a recreation center, and we are kind of open. We're allowing 20 people in our weight and exercise area, 10 people on our track, 6 people in our pool because we have 6 lanes, so it's just for lap swimming. So that's kind of what we're doing here in North Liberty as far as our facility is concerned.
Great, thanks, Brian. Anyone else? Who's got facilities open right now? Let's start with.
We have our adult complex open, running league, modified. We have our youth complex open, modified. We're trying to figure out, is there a safe way to do football and soccer this fall? The arena has been open since last week in June. We've been doing camps there with some extra cleaning beforehand. We do have a mask policy that requires all non-athletic people that don't have a medical waiver to wear a mask. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to actually be the host of, I think it's 4 minor league hockey team tryouts. So this is going to be our first dry run. I think we're going to have about 600 to 700 in our arena. Seating capacity there is about 200, so it is about a third capacity in there. So we're attempting to do it. We believe we've done things as safe as possible and continue to stay open at the time. Golf course is still open, campground still open, pool is still not.
Great. Anyone else have facilities open?
Hey, Brian, can you talk a little bit about your golf course from the standpoint? Can you have 2 people per golf cart? Do you have to have a plastic shield between them? Are you allowing only 1 person from each team to come in to sign in? I mean, what does that look like when I first drive up there? What am I going to see? What am I going to do?
Look, we tell people to use common sense. If they don't use common sense, we kick them out. And I say that jokingly, but that's kind of in our philosophy, Steve. Our clubhouse, you have to wear a mask. Yeah, but we are open because we do have a kitchen. So if you are sitting and actively eating or drinking, and that is up to the discretion of the people. We have some people that push it, but also too, you play in all these what if games and we can't do anything. So we let people eat in there. We let people drink out there. We did work with our parks department and actually put more picnic tables outside. So we actually have more seating outside than we ever have at the golf course. And then for golf carts, early on, we thought about 1 person. We let it up to the people, but we debated that 1 person or not. here's the deal. I mean, we had people come to our course because we had a husband and wife living in the same roof, and they were saying no, only one person per cart. Well, you got to use some common sense. If it's family members, that's fine. If it's me and you, hey, we're buddies. Steve, I'm picking you up because you're my neighbor and we're driving in the same car. But then you get to the course and say, no, you got to be in 2 carts. Realistically, we tell them, you know, if they want a separate cart, they can. If not, we let people make grown-up decisions. But I mean, we're constantly telling them, hey, we provide masks, please put on a mask. So we've had I was going to say, we have the non-touch sticks where you actually use your putter and lift the ball out of the hole. So, I mean, that's about it. For our tournaments, we actually we're doing outings and modified smaller tournaments and outings. We just actually had a fairly large 2-person senior. We don't actually gather at the end. We tell people to stay outside so we don't have that 60, 70 people in the clubhouse conjugating. We make them stay outside. We post everything online and we mail them their certificates or cash or cut them checks if they win. So that's some of the stuff we'll use, Steve.
Great game plan. I love it.
Matt Kalsevich, Recreation Manager, Des Moines Park and Rec. Wanted to share, we have our facilities running and have had some success this summer. I think we were one of the few who did aquatics. And our 3 facilities are set to close a week from today. And we only had to close 1 day from the season so far because of a potential exposure. So we've had a pretty good run. Our Community Recreation Center is open with some limited capacity, 10 total in the gym, 4 in our workout space that is not that large. And we've been regulating that with use of masks required as well when they're in the common areas of the facility. The golf courses in Des Moines, which are a third-party contractor, are functioning in a very similar way to what Brian just described. So I think a lot of the golf operations are hearing what others are doing and identifying some of those things, and did early on, because as we know, some of the golf stuff was allowed to continue and be one of the regular things that's gone on during this time. Our sports complexes are going. We're hosting tournaments, again, with some very specific regulations about number of people, spacing, some accommodations we've made at those facilities different than what we've done in the past in terms of allowing people to spread out and utilize, the full square footage around a field. Same with our doll that's been running now for about a month and a half, where unfortunately we've had a couple of exposures there, or people reporting, but been able to navigate that through some of our sanitizing requirements and things of that nature with staff on site tending to issues nightly. So been pretty good considering how intense everything has been for everyone. So we're thankful that we've done as much as we've been able to do with all of those guidelines.
Great, thanks. Okay, so looking ahead, if you guys aren't having facilities open now, who's planning on opening up in the fall? Are we moving ahead with regular programming at this point? What's going on in areas?
This is Angie from Cedar Rapids. We're going to be looking at starting to open up our rec center this fall. Pretty much not starting indoor programming yet, but doing reservations where people can reserve the pickleball courts or reserve the gym for limited number of people to come in. So they're going to reserve it just like they're doing a park pavilion rental. And we'll still do temperature checks and additional waivers. We're also looking at opening our indoor pool for lap swim and exercise class, but we probably won't start swim lessons until further into October, just depending on what numbers look like. We've been operating adult softball. We've been renting out our Usher's Ferry Lodge. We've done farmers market and our new rolling rec program. And then this fall, we'll also start some additional programs, again, with guidelines on it for, we're looking at soccer, not sure how to make flag football work. And then we're looking at additional programming out at Usher's Ferry, which is like more like our zombie camps that are outside and that kind of thing. And then Special Olympics has canceled most of fall. So we're trying to figure out what we can still do for that group. So yeah, just still working through things. Things kind of change on a pretty regular basis, but we're getting used to that now. So.
Has anybody had any programs completely shut down because they had a kid get COVID? It's kind of interesting how we're going in Woodbury County on Siouxland District Health. So we just had a minor baseball player test positive last week, and they traced it all back and decided that the exposure wasn't from baseball. He'd been there one day. He wasn't within 6 feet of anybody for more than 15 minutes. So our district health basically said, play on. And that's kind of the route they took with our, like Heelan's baseball team and our Sergeant Bluff baseball team as well, because each had a kid eventually show up positive. But as far as Sergeant Bluff goes, we just had a task force meeting here at 9 o'clock talking about what we are going to do for our rec center. We are open right now for pickleball. We are open for events of less than 60 people. We're basically shipping them out in our gym area, spreading them out for banquets and meetings and birthday parties and anniversaries, those type of things. We're the same. When they're out in the gym area or a big space, if they can socially distance, they don't need to wear a mask. If they're in the hallways or going to the bathrooms, they do need to mask up. We talked about our volleyball league. We normally have a 50-team volleyball league for all the schools around here. They come to us, play in it. That is not going to happen. So we're trying to do an internal league, just Sergeant Bluff kids only, because we usually have 4 to 5 teams in our league just from Sergeant Bluff alone. So talked about junior football. I think it's going to be a go for our 3rd through 6th graders. We're not going to do flag football for our 1st and 2nd graders. We're trying to get those, they just came out with a face mask that you can attach to your helmet that basically covers your eyes and your mouth piece as far as your face shield goes. So I'm sure if we can get those and get them attached to the helmets, that league is going to be a go for junior football. So that's kind of where we stand.
I've seen others that are advertising for flag football. Who in here is going ahead with flag football this fall?
I guess I should reiterate, one of the reasons we're not going with flag football is because we moved our spring soccer to fall, because we had all those registrations in and we didn't want to give back $13,000 out of our budget. So we're going to try and go with fall soccer. So
Matt Kalsevich with City of Des Moines again. We are trying to make plans to run flag for kindergarten through 7th grade. Ours is a partnership with the schools, so we have that element that we're trying to consider, even though Des Moines Public Schools have already made some modifications to what they're doing. We're working with USA, football and high school football guidelines to really kind of set our exact plan. And even yesterday in some conversations, we came up with more questions than answers. So we are actively promoting. We do have registrations happening, but yet to come up with our final plan, as all of us I know have already had to deal with. We'll set something up, and if it works, good. If not, we'll be set to plan, make changes very quickly if needed, but on track to try and do that for now.
We're in that similar boat. I mean, we have flag football registration now. Our district actually just cut the middle school program to the point where they're just going to do practices and it's only flag. We're just trying to figure out the modifications I've seen aren't really modifications. So then we have to ask the question, do we just do it and let parents know, hey, there's risk. And if we do it, have them sign that liability waiver. So, that's kind of where we're at. We're taking registrations. I don't know if we're 100% a go with it, but, that's kind of one thing I wanted to see if anyone had actually real modifications that they could actually do. Throwing this out, soccer, I'm going to also ask why we're here. With soccer, I thought about potentially doing quads and having kids stay in quadrants. Has anyone looked into doing anything? Because once again, soccer, you can social distance till a certain age, but then once you actually have, that 4 to about third grade, 4-year-olds to third grade, they still have that mob mentality in soccer where it's just that pile of dust that runs around like in Charlie Brown. So I'm kind of curious if anyone has made any modifications to either of those sports. Not all at once, please, just one at a time.
As far as our soccer, the only thing that we're going to really modify is, so we have some more oversight on everything, is we're looking at just having one practice a week. It's going to be on a half an hour prior to their game. So they'll split the field, they'll practice a half an hour prior to the game, and then they'll play a game. Again, in a normal year, our girls would be playing volleyball on Sundays, and our boys would be playing in the junior football league on Saturdays. So our soccer is just going to be the opposite. The girls soccer will be on Saturdays. So then they can play volleyball if they choose to still do that on Sundays, and boys soccer will be on Sundays. So, we're looking at spreading out our fields on 2 different areas. We're still planning to do pre-K through 6th grade soccer, but that's how we're going to do it. So that way then coaches too don't, because they're all volunteer coaches. Hopefully that'll help with them not being worried about having a practice on a Monday night or a Tuesday night. Our basic protocol is they're going to come, they'll hand sanitize before they play the game. They'll go out and play the game. Parents are going to be in a specific area. They'll hand sanitize their hands after the game. Nobody's asked to obviously touch the ball except for with their feet. If the ball goes rolling off the court or off the field, the players are responsible for going to get it, just like they kind of did for baseball and softball this season. So do the best we can do. If they choose to wear a face mask, they can wear a face mask. Otherwise, we'll have lots of signage that just says socially distance, and the fields will be spread out more, and we can do what we can do.
And are you guys allowing parents to come in and watch their children?
Yeah, we'll have parents there.
Okay, I've just heard of some that aren't allowing any parents. You can drop off your kids, sit in your parking lot, but it's kids only. So that's a modification that I've heard from some.
Yeah, I'm in the volleyball league. If we do that here at the rec center, everybody will be masked up inside. At least we'll ask them to be.
Are you going to do temperature checks and ask the questions also?
It depends if the task force makes us do temperature checks. I guess I did buy 3 thermometers for the guard event that we had here as a test run for just regular rental events. They did have a person stationed at the front entrance, and they were doing temperature checks. It's just more of a feel good.
Do you write down all the information or just temperature checks and send them on their way?
You're good.
Thank you.
I'm a firm believer, we don't write down the information. I'm a firm believer letting spectators in with temperature checks. It was something, I'll be honest, I didn't know if it was, I thought it was kind of unnecessary, but at least once a week, we get someone with a 102 temp trying to come into the complex. We were short staffed last week and I was at the gate. I shot someone, and that's why I told the city administrator we need to be paying those people $40 an hour, because
We've been doing temperature checks all summer at all of our activities, as well as for every single person that comes into the swimming pool, and have been recording those. And I think that public health has appreciated that in some respects, and patrons and everybody's used to it. So yeah, the hardest part is turning someone away, but everybody else, it's really not a huge issue at all.
How long are you guys keeping those records on file, though?
We have all of them from the summer, and we'll probably keep them for at least a year, just in case someone were eventually to say, you know, they had COVID. We're working with our basically city attorney to ask how long it would make sense to keep those. But we do record the temperatures of each person too. So like if you're a visitor to the pool, we record your, you know, contact info and temperature when you come in, and that allows us to trace things back too if we were to have someone at the pool test positive.
Okay, yeah, because we did not do temperature checks this year in Waukee, and we heard that you had a storm for like 10 years or something like that.
Yeah, we'll definitely storm as long as we have to.
Is anyone else waiting on, Decorah had chimed in here about waiting on their school system, their school district to make announcements about masks or anything? Are some of you guys still waiting on your schools for masking policy before you decide some of these programs?
The
Have your
city
school
took the lead.
districts all, okay, go ahead.
The city took the lead, and we were the first. County followed, and then school district about 3 months after that followed. So the city just said mandated all staff at all times, unless use common sense if you can't wear a mask while you work. And then all public indoor buildings have it. And then, like I said, the county took it, and now the school district has it.
So for those of you guys that are getting ready to host some programs, what other changes besides your typical, you know, football, soccer, what are you guys coming up with? Because these kids have been sitting idle potentially for how many months now? What unique esports or anything like that are you guys coming up with that you want to share with the group? Or are you guys just not hosting? Jenny, what have you guys come up with in Story City? Do you guys have a fall program guide out, or what are you guys moving forward with?
We just have interest lists out right now. So we haven't for sure decided whether or not we will run programs. We're trying to gauge to see if we have enough interest that we can play within our own community. We typically play with the communities around us for flag football, volleyball. So we play with Jewel and Ames and Nevada and a lot of those small surrounding communities, and everybody's kind of in different situations where they use facilities at the school. We have a unique situation where we have our own facility. So we're hoping to be able to run something at least within our own community. And if if things are looking okay, maybe late September, early October, we might be able to run a couple games with, some of our communities that are pretty close, but not the whole league. So we're just kind of gauging interest. We won't start anything until after Labor Day, just to see how the first couple weeks of school goes, if we do decide to run programs. So just kind of seeing what happens for right now.
Great, I like that idea. Anyone else doing something similar in their community of just gauging interest right now? You know, I know Ames put out that big survey at the beginning of all this of how much work do we go to? Are people comfortable coming to the pool or doing the programming? Has anyone done anything similar here lately? Because they're all so quiet today. It's Friday.
Waukee decided to go away from a printed brochure guide this year just because there was so many unknowns, and we'd already have it printed by now. We weren't for sure if we were going to be able to use the school's facilities. So we're just hitting all of our social media channels and the website and doing email blasts and stuff like that to get the word out about any of our programs versus our traditional 30-page program guide.
Are you guys getting a lot of feedback from the community that they're calling you wanting programs or not? Is that why a lot of you are just kind of sitting idle here? Or is it more facility space that's what's restricting you the most from moving forward with some of these?
I would say part of our issue is facilities. I mean, we don't have basketball and volleyball courts to our thing. So if the school district doesn't let us in, I know we do have, Penny does have a great relationship with their Salvation Army in town that has a gym, but that means we have one court to run volleyball and one court to run basketball. So that could limit in the future our programming issues. You know, we've seen probably, and correct me if I'm wrong, Penny, but in our youth sports, probably a third of our participants this summer is what we have typically signed up with our thing. So most of the community still kind of wants to do their own thing.
My biggest delay is I got to run everything through our city's task force, which I'm on, and they take forever to make a decision.
So no one's really seen the public really beating down your door, wanting to get their kids out of the house. Why are you not offering this? We're not really seeing that from the community quite yet.
So Brent, all of your programs and activities, not only you, but the school district, everybody else has got to run through this task force?
Just for me, my programs. I mean, the school does certain things.
Yeah.
It depends on what it is they're trying to do. It was worse earlier than it is now. So.
Well, that's because you guys had a major outbreak of COVID. So then who sits on that task force then? I mean, maybe not named, but positions.
It's all the department heads in the city, the mayor, there's 2 council members, the superintendent from schools, and guy from the fire department who works for Sioux City's, I'm not sure, he either works for Sioux City Fire Department or ambulance department or the service that takes care of their ambulance. So he's a big medical guy.
How many people?
There's like 12 of us, 13.
Jeez.
So then, yeah, when you're trying to talk about Parks and Rec things, I don't think the police chief, the chief of police or the building inspector really cares. So.
Steve, we've been running our stuff through here in Cedar Rapids the same way though. Now we don't have the mayor on or anything like that, but when we move forward with something different, we bring it to the department head team and make sure, hey, we're going to start doing pickleball indoors. So we're consistent throughout the city to make sure, hey, well, the library's doing this, you know, those sort of things. So, and it totally true that it takes a little bit longer to get decisions made and stuff like that, but just trying to be consistent, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I would say too, I have a daughter that's in 3rd, 4th grade here, 3rd grade, going to go into 4th grade. And a lot of those parents didn't have a problem playing softball outside. Even though our league canceled, they got into a different league that was offered. But I did hear a few of them. They're like, I'm not sure about indoor sports yet, if I'm ready to do that. Or so I'm sure there's a lot of them that are out there. One thing that we just had, we opened up school registration, and 90 people. You had the option of going to school, in school, or doing an online version, which you had to be in for 90 days, something like that, up until like October sometime, and then you could reevaluate again. And 90 people have chosen so far to do the online version, so not go back into school. So
Give us an idea, what is your school
typical
population?
class is 120, 130 kids. And that number will go up, I'm sure. People just haven't registered for classes yet.
I see we've got Katie and Kylie on the call here. What are you ladies looking at doing with your organization? How has this changed your events for hosting anything?
It's changed quite a bit, actually. Right now, what our big holdup right now is facilities for our fall events, which we don't really have many events in the fall. Just NetFest basketball and working with Iowa Wild on hockey. So it kind of depends on what the AHL decides there, on what they're doing for spectators and all that. And then Iowa State for our NetFest is a big thing. Right now they're having all the college kids move in and things like that. So it's kind of, going to depend on how school goes and how they feel about their facilities. So we're going to be working to brainstorm what we can do differently. Those are the only 2 events we typically offer in the fall for Iowa games. So looking to see, if we can do anything virtually or, kind of do anything like a punt, pass, kick, anything like that. We did do for summer, we did a virtual track meet and a virtual swim meet. And it actually went over really well. We had just about the same amount of swimmers virtually than we do in person at our swim meet. So kind of trying to probably take off of that idea a little bit and see what we can do and what makes sense in the fall, going around what normally happens in the fall. So kind of haven't quite got to that point yet. We still have some events here that we're finishing up for summer. And so far we've had good feedback on a lot of those events, whether they've been virtual or in person. So again, just going to try to play off that and then see what Iowa State has to say, with facilities, and same thing too with the schools. We have used school facilities for things, but again, it kind of depends on what they're able to allow us to do or want us to do, because their whole goal is to get kids into school. So, which we totally understand. So kind of up in the air right now. And, we have our winter games in January and trying to figure out for that what we need to do differently so we can be prepared, knowing that it's probably going to run somewhat differently than what it normally does. So going to do a lot of planning this fall to brainstorm for all that.
Great, thanks for that update. So is anyone adding esports? Has anyone done that before, adding esports to try and get a little money coming in, or maybe a free event just to keep kids active?
we had just built a brand new teen center right before the Rona hit. So earlier this spring, we did have a couple sessions of a Madden football league and an NBA live league. I think the first time we did it, we had maybe 6-8 kids that chose a team and ran through the whole season. We tried to play 2 games a day because they were at home doing nothing anyways. We would like to do another one this fall, obviously, once the NFL kicks off and gets going, try to get it up to 32. So basically they would just be committed to playing 1 game a week versus the 2 a day. So try to have their games in by then. We also did an NBA live league, and Ben, what do we have? 3-4 kids maybe do that? Yeah, he said 3 or 4 kids did that.
Jason, what's going on in Polk City, man? This is like a great way to start your career as a director, isn't it?
It's been unique, that's for sure. So yeah, what I've got going on up here is I don't have any city-owned indoor space that's really worth a damn. So I'm totally reliant on the school district and churches if I want to do anything indoor. But I'm finding a lot of resistance. I just don't think, at least my school district, which is North Polk, like Katie Kramer said, they're really worried about getting the kids into school, and maybe the idea of having non-essential people in after hours is just not appropriate for this fall. So I am doing a few things that I'll be running that I feel like kind of lend themselves to social distancing. I'm kind of a big proponent of like the Start Smart programs. So I'm going to offer a few of those where the kid is, kind of off on their own, working one-on-one with a parent or guardian. And I feel like we can make that format work. I have no shortage of green space here in town, so I'm going to use that best I can as long as I can. So I'm trying to do a little bit of probably Start Smart football. I may try to do something for those kids that age out of Start Smart, kind of like the kindergarten and first grade. And another thing that I'm dealing with up here is, without a formal Parks and Rec department until this March, independent youth leagues have really run the show up here. And I've kind of been voluntold by my city council to not compete with them. So that kind of takes me out of, any sort of rec league, baseball, softball, to avoid the Little League conflict. I've got an Iowa soccer affiliate up here. So right now it's trying to figure out where I can kind of nook and cranny programs to complement what's already being offered by other organizations up here. That's kind of it in a nutshell.
By the way, we went boating on Big Creek Lake a couple weeks ago, and we stopped by the creamery. It's the ice creamery, your ice cream stand there right off Main Square, and then like that Pete's Pizza. That's good stuff.
Yeah, one thing I was able to do for July National Parks and Rec Month, I kind of had a parks photo scavenger hunt. That's not a new or original idea, but I did get the creamery to donate some gift cards. So I did get a lot of people out checking out our parks when there's the incentive of free ice cream. So I used it kind of as a PR thing. So not a lot of folks knew that I exist yet. So at 5 parks, I had my Parks Commission do 5 murals, and they said Polk City Parks and Recreation. If you went around and took a selfie with each one and you uploaded them, you were eligible for those ice cream gift cards. And really, I think a lot of folks, once they submitted the pictures, they kind of said, I didn't know we had that department here in town. So it filled its need, and it got people out of the house. So that was a good first impression on the community. And businesses like the Creamery and Papa's Pizza, they're very willing to work with me too when it comes to community outreach and donations. So that's been really good.
Great. If you guys had a chance to look over the magazine that went out on Tuesday, we did an article on Aaron up in Fort Dodge, and we just used their local newspaper, The Messenger, that had written about the scavenger hunt that they'd been doing there, where the kids could take the selfies. So I think that's a really great idea to get kids out to your parks. If you can get gift certificates, I think that's an awesome idea as well. Collaborate with some folks. I mean, we're going to have some nice weather for a while here. I don't know if you changed up the theme, but so we featured that article on Erin, and then I'm interviewing her next week for our very first podcast for Parks and Rec. So if you also got the magazine, we're looking for some names, ideas for our podcast. So I've got a couple. We'll be putting that out for a vote on a Survey Monkey for you guys, because we want you guys involved in that. So we'll be interviewing Aaron and then posting that interview for you guys. And I think it's just a great way to get an idea out. It's just going to be short and sweet. We're considering just a 5 to 7 minute deal to start with. So we'll see how long the interview lasts. I've sent her the questions ahead of time, so she won't be surprised as to what I'm asking her. But if you guys have some ideas like that, or you're opening a facility and you want to share something with us, don't hesitate to reach out to Steve and I. We just think it's an avenue with the podcast to get some fresh ideas out there, learn about a community, learn about a department. And those are easy ways to share things. So we're trying to hop on that bandwagon. So look for Aaron's podcast to be out later here after we do a few edits on it. But I think that scavenger hunts are a really good idea. That might be pretty popular amongst the communities as something they can do as a family together here. Kate, where are you guys at with your pool in Iowa City? Are you getting ready to open indoor? What you got planned for the fall season coming up here?
Hey, everybody. We are opening on Monday for the school district swim team and also our affiliate club swim team. And we're doing that really bare bones. Sydney and I, who's the aquatics assistant, will be guarding the majority of those hours ourselves. And beyond that, we're pretty much at a standstill for other facilities across the city being open. And that's library, the senior center, all of our rec centers. And we're doing similar as some of you all, where we're not really releasing anything. We're definitely not doing any programming in August or September. The Iowa City Eels is the only affiliate that's starting to come back in, and then we're slowly letting other affiliates back into some facilities. But we're really concerned that the behind the scenes, we're guessing that we have about 2 weeks worth of swimming, and then we're going to see numbers look drastically different when the university students come back, which they've already started to. So we're still being super conservative here and just trying to take it one day at a time, and also not put out a lot of stuff that we might have to pull back. But all of us in rec are planning for programming, once we do open, to be really run by us in direct service and not bringing back temp staff in probably any capacity really here for a long time. So that's just kind of how we're transitioning into these new times, which we're still saying 5 months in, which is exhausting, but also just the reality. So yeah, we're hanging in there.
Awesome. So we'll spread the news that you guys are opening and to send everyone to you. Is that what you were saying, Kate?
You're sounding like Farron. That sounds like something Farron would have just said.
So Steve asked the question on the chat there, if your aquatic center splash pads open, when might you guys be closing? Because as Kate mentioned, we are getting students to move in here. So are you losing staff? And how long are you going to try and stay open?
Molly and Center Point. We always keep our splash pad open through Labor Day. So I've officially lost all my seasonal staff as of yesterday. So, but I can run the splash pad on my own at this point. So just doing it on my own until we shut it down. So.
Does anyone online here have a pool that is open? Des Moines, when are you guys shutting down?
We're a week from today, so
Okay.
next Friday.
That's right.
We have one more session of swim lessons, and our splash pads actually remain open, weather permitting, through the end of September. Those are, unmanned facilities, unstaffed facilities. So that's the plan, but if things were to change, we're flexible on that being a shutdown for either COVID reasons or weather reasons.
Does anyone else? I know Cedar Rapids touched on their, looking at opening their pools later on. Who else has indoor pools that are trying to look at opening later on? Are you still in the holding pattern? Are we starting to consider it for some lap swimmers? Looks like Adele's pool is going to be open through the 16th. Okay. I know that Grinnell is planned to close the day before school starts on the 23rd. But our high school girls swim team is having quite a time because Grinnell College is completely shut down. There's all virtual, basically no students on campus. There's a handful of international students. They're still trying to work with Grinnell College on potentially hosting practices there in somewhat of a fashion. So I know our City Council Park and Rec Department is trying to see what that looks like to keep our outdoor pool open as long as we possibly can for our high school girls swim team, swimming and diving to practice until they potentially could either get in at Grinnell College or Grinnell College says no and they're moving on to plan B and C with another surrounding pool. So. Looks like Decorah's trying to stay open through the 24th. Good. I would say with smaller patron numbers, you don't need as many staff, so we're not maybe in the same predicament that we've been in those last couple of years here. So for those of you that are opening up, I know earlier in the year we posted some written protocol from Clive. They were nice enough to share with us and some others, and we posted that on our member only side of the website. Does anyone have any written protocol that's potentially coming down the pipeline that they'd like to share with our members? We just want to, we'd be happy to take that and I can post that for you. Does anyone have any written protocol that they're trying to follow? Some of these task force that have come up with anything. If you guys do, just feel free to pass those on to us. We have some posted right now. Some is about swimming pools, some is about adult leagues, some is about youth leagues. And just what they're kind of looking at. And I know, you know, things change. So definitely, you know, what's up there now may have potentially changed from how it started in the beginning here. So if you've got any, please don't hesitate to share that with us.
Where are those posted at on the website?
They're on the backside under member downloads is where I posted those. And I think they're just in date order as we've got them. So it's kind of a, you know, Clive Adult Softball League or Clive Swimming Pool. And if you got any issues, don't hesitate to reach out to me here, direct you in that to them.
Hey, Kelly, this is Jason in Polk City. I've got a question that's not exactly rec programming related, but what is everybody doing for public restrooms? I only have one park that has a modern restrooms, and with a lot of user groups canceling their seasons, there was not the need to have them open, and that was kind of a city council supported decision as well. But now I've got the local soccer organization coming in for their fall season, and they'd like to see the facilities open. I've kind of went through and, you know, we can socially distance the restrooms by, you know, taking out a sink, taking out a urinal, yada, yada. But what have other communities done kind of, if you've had facilities open all summer, what are you doing for increased cleanings or anything of that nature?
In Mason City at our, at my adult complex, you know, we just have one toilet for the girls and one toilet for the guys. We just do extra sanitation and stuff. Our diving crew guys go out there every night and in the morning they clean it and everything with the disinfecting stuff and just the normal toilet cleaning and things. Penny, you can back me up on this too at her youth complex because she has tons of people and a lot of people. Don't you have it marked out, Penny, where they can socially distance or like spots on your on the floor and things? But that's how we're trying to keep our socially distance within the bathrooms and stuff.
Yeah, we put markings on the just dots every 6 feet apart that people can kind of social distance at the bathrooms, concessions. So that just a reminder to people that they need to stay apart.
And in Story City, we've just posted signs too. They do get sanitized once a day in the morning, but we've just posted that they are being sanitized daily. However, they're not being sanitized after each use or throughout the day, just so people are aware of that. But we just have one stall, a couple stalls at each of our parks. So we don't have mass people coming through them.
Was trying to find the signage that we put out, and I know we shared it with our CEU and CPO classes of what Iowa City had put out for their signage. They had one in English, one in Spanish, and it was very simple that you could easily change up the wording, whether it said restroom, whether it said playground, whatever, to change that up. So well, I'll try and get that pulled up here to share with you guys here. What else is anyone doing? Go ahead, Brian.
Here in North Liberty, our youth baseball softball group, which is a parent-run organization, they kind of took care of the cleaning during the time when they used it. So I don't know if that's something maybe your soccer people could do or take care of.
You know, that was a discussion I had where, you know, the city would do our normally scheduled cleanings and hopefully try to enhance them a little bit. But I did ask the organization to kind of chip in a little bit, especially on the weekends when we don't have crews out. And you would have thought I was asking the world of them. So it wasn't a great conversation, but it's something I'm going to follow up with. Yeah, and like you said, it's a parent run, you know, a lot of volunteers. So I think if they want the bathrooms bad enough, they can figure out that they can wipe down some high touch areas you know, throughout the day on the weekends. But yeah, thank you for the input.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we did here. I mean, if they want to use our facilities, they have to kind of follow our rules. So that's how we did it.
Hey, Brian, do you know with Eckhart, Matthew Eckhart was taking over like that youth sports thing?
Yep.
He's like CEO. What's going on with him in North Liberty, that baseball, softball, volleyball thing that he was doing?
So he's kind of the operations guy of the baseball softball. So he's kind of the main contact that I deal with, which was nice to have one person to talk to. And then he takes things back to the president, vice president, all that stuff. But yeah, he started his own kind of company, and he kind of does a little bit of baseball. He's helping with the North Liberty Bolts tackle football program. And I think he just gets a percentage of however many people sign up, and then he's pretty much the main person that has to deal with all the questions and concerns and complaints and all that. So
has he had any problems with like not being able to host events or have kids sign up or involve parents? I mean, how's it going?
I think his numbers are down for baseball, softball, but you know, we usually have over 1,000. I don't know what his numbers were this year, but I think they were down. But other than that, you know, he had to go by what the city kind of said to do. On what he could and can't do out there. He couldn't have concessions out there. So that was one big thing that I know he wanted, but the city didn't allow him to. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I threw this sign up here. So again, they're just saying they're not sanitizing. I've seen plenty of people that have, you know, we're sanitizing once a day at the facilities I've been in. So it's just a sample for what folks could be using still. Are there any other questions, like Jason had off the topic? I just want to open this up. We are just about at our hour long. We want to be cognizant of your time. It's Friday. I know you guys got a lot going on here, or just anxious to get out of the office. Is there anything else that you guys would like to share with the group here?
Yeah, I guess I got one question in Ames. One thing we've been thinking about, because we're in the same boat as a lot of people with our volleyball, we use school facilities, so we're waiting to hear from that. And my guess is, I don't know, I don't think they're going to let us. I don't think I would if I were the school either. But, we thought about doing a sand volleyball, maybe like a 4-on-4 camp or like a camp style with games at the end kind of thing. So using our own facilities, getting them outside, lowering the numbers, just seeing if anyone's thought of that or planning on doing that, and thoughts on that.
We thought about doing that as well this fall. Kind of same predicament, right? We use school facilities, and at that point, I don't think they'll be ready to have us in there. But we even thought about, you know, we only have so many sand volleyball courts in one area, so we probably have to limit people even more than you do. But even having some some court play and then some skills and drills off to the side so that we can accommodate maybe like 8 kids at a time, but just play either 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 or 4-on-4 and do some skills and drill stuff too. So we definitely have that idea, and we'll see how kind of schools get started and potentially try to work with that after Labor Day.
Great. Anything else from anyone?
Is anybody on the indoor stuff, if you have indoor stuff, are you going to limit the number of parents that can come in or anything like that? Has anybody thought about that? Or not allow parents?
I think if we do run anything indoors, we will limit the number of spectators that can come per participant. I know for our youth softball and t-ball, we limited it to 4. And if we do get flag football and soccer running, we're going to limit it to 2 or 4, since there's less spectator room with that. But that would probably be definitely one thing, and along with the requiring them to wear masks.
How did you control that?
We just pretty much, as the kids came in, we just counted the number that was with them and kind of let them come in. And then if we noticed an area was getting too crowded, we would kind of go over and ask them to separate and kind of go from there. So again, there wasn't really a lot of people that came in bunches. It was like, 2, 4 here, that kind of thing. So kind of how we controlled it.
Well, great. I'm glad we got together, you guys. It seems like everyone's still kind of in the same boat. No one's really trudging forward with a lot of programs. Unfortunately, hopefully the next time we meet, we've got a lot more to share with the group here, and how facilities are opening up and we're using school space again would be awesome for you guys. It's going to be about a full calendar year here, I think, before we're even really considering getting back to what used to be normal and numbers and stuff. And I know that's going to hit everyone's budget real soon. So if you guys have something that you guys working with those task force committees, you're coming up with something creative, this is the place to share it. Let Steve and I know about it. We can get the word out. We'd hate to see for anyone else to lose their jobs if someone can come up with something creative to keep the people active and a little bit of money flowing coming in here your direction. And that's what we're trying to help you guys out with here.
Hey, Kelly, before we go, can we just talk a little quick about aquatic facility operator class and then what we're doing with the fall workshop?
Yeah, sure. You want me to, or you want to take it?
Hey, I just tossed it to you, so
Okay,
it's your job.
I got it.
By the way, I sanitized those comments first before you got it.
Great. So if you guys haven't seen, we have been advertising a little bit on social media and our magazine that we're offering the AFO certification. That's through the NRPA. We've actually had a couple people sign up right away, so that's super exciting that we're going to be hosting that August 6th and 7th. That's going to be in Cedar Rapids at a hotel, because we know we're not going to be dealing with a government entity trying to shut us down or pull out right away. So we've worked with the Cedar Rapids Long Branch location with the CPO CEU workshops. So we've got that site reserved. We're hoping to get more people registered for that. So that's an option. And Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but AFO is recognized just like CPO certification is nationally. Now, it just depends what your community organization has in your job description or bylaws there. So it is a similar certification to the CPO, but does take a little bit different spin on it here. So we're excited to get that going. I think in the state of Iowa with our members, we have 3 people that are currently certified. So we're hoping to get a lot more on that. So check out the flyer. It's under the aquatics page. We've added another page. So it talks about the course. We've got a full flyer there, and you can register right online for that. And then as far as fall workshop, you know that we have canceled our in-person portion, and we're going to 3 mini workshops that are going to be hosted on Tuesday, September 15th, which was the day we were supposed to be in person. Then the second one's going to be on Thursday, October 15th, and our third one is going to be Wednesday, November 4th. We have filled all 18 slots, so you're going to get the same opportunity for the same number of classes. You're going to have the same CEU certifications. We're just splitting that up 3 days worth. So we're working on the at a glance brochure right now. We're going to have that out to all of our members on Tuesday, August 18th. Registration will be up and live at that time. So for it's just over 3 hours. We'll have 3 1-hour sessions. You get a choice of 2 sessions each hour. So you will have that choice which one to attend. Members, it's a $30 fee for the day. Non-members, it's a $40 fee. So, you know, pretty nominal price to get your continuing education. And by breaking it down into 3 short half days, we figure that more people will be able to attend, less distractions coming in your way from your office. So look for that information to come out. I think we've got a really good variety. People, not just from the state of Iowa. So that's what we can do when we're virtual. We can bring in a few more people to speak. So super excited about that full roster of 18 courses that we're able to offer to you guys here. Any questions on either one of those? And for those of you that continue to look for CEU opportunities, we have added to the education page on our website some CEU opportunities. I don't have anything in there right now, but as soon as I get something, it's going to look like our job description. There's going to be, we've got room for a little picture, a flyer, a logo. So we just want to make sure that you guys that have the CPRP, CPRE certifications that need those continuing education credits, that we're continuing to offer you some of those opportunities since we did miss conference and some other opportunities there to get those continuing education. So continue to look there. If you see something out on someone else's state website or an opportunity comes your way, please forward that to Steve and I so we can post it. We're going to be you know, relying on you guys to help spread that word also. We want to get that out to our members. So if something comes your way, get that to us. We'll post it. Like I said, it's just going to look like a job opportunity out there. And when it expires, we'll take it off and we'll just fill those slots as they come in. So exciting stuff that we're working with and trying to update that website for you guys. Okay, if nothing else for the better of the group, we're going to say happy Friday and have a great weekend out in the hot sun again. Thanks, guys. We'll see ya.